KEF Connect. Conversations that matter. Tune in every week for interviews with industry trendsetters and community changemakers that will instill inspiration and ignite action. Visit www.kefholdings.com and click KEF Connect to listen.
Welcome to KEF Connect, which is the podcast series that makes a difference, connecting listeners to the trendsetters as well as the trailblazers, creating an impact in their industries and communities. My name is Aida Al Busaidy, and this is season 4. We are going to be discussing money. And who doesn't like money? But do we understand it? So the subject and the topics is pretty much around the range of women and wealth. And today with me, I have 3 fantastic women who are going to join me in this journey of discussion in the podcast. We'll start with Ajlouny, who is a venture capitalist and entrepreneur, founder who's raised $100 million in VC funding and named the #1 female founder in the Middle East.
You guys are too kind.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot more that I can say about you, Joy, but we're going to leave some time for the podcast as well. Next up, I have Preethi Mundhra, who is the head of marketing and partnerships at Liv Bank. She is she's passionate about growth marketing and creating brand love that drives business success. And she's created one of the most successful digital lifestyle banks in the Middle East. So super excited to have her here on board as well. Yay. And of course, joining us today is Shaheeda Abdul. Shaheeda has quite an interesting story. So she's the first woman in her family to complete high school and an undergrad, in CSE and math, as well as an MBA from Duke, and then went on to work with Fortune 50 companies, founded 3, and is now working on her 4th as well. So, yes, and but she believes in ultimate equalizer. So I think this conversation is gonna be one of an interesting one as well. So we have quite a lot to discuss, and so I'm gonna throw out a general question first of all, and let's start with Joy, and then with Preethi, and then with Shaheeda. So, first question, how was money and wealth introduced to you, and at what age?
That's an easy one. As the daughter of Palestinian refugees, my parents were built on survivalhood. That embeddedness of you got to survive, right? When you're a refugee, you worry about your money, your future. So my parents embedded save a dollar as part of the DNA. It's really interesting because they've endeavored such hardships in their lives that they understood the value of a dollar. So for them, they embedded that, save your money. You never know, rainy day, you never know what's going to happen. And of course, they had the worst thing happen to them. So they understood what it was like, how to save a dollar. And that honestly was embedded in me from before I could even walk, literally.
That's one for the books, Joy. I have to say, a lot of people don't learn anything about money into late 40s, 50s as well. So fantastic. So out of necessity, I've put that out there as well. Preethi, what about you? When was wealth and money introduced to you?
Pretty much like you, I would say, at a very early age. And it was always given to us or made available to us in very rationed quantities. My father was an entrepreneur, not in the glamorous sense of the word that it is today. A very humble business, which had, like any other business, ups and downs, unpredictable days, months where everything would be amazing, and then a whole season with nothing, right? So there was abundance, but there was lack at the same time. And I think what I saw growing up was how my mom played the role of that stabilizer, that equalizer, who knew that there are great times and there are tough times, and she was the one who made sure that she didn't overindulge us when times were good. At the same time, in tough times, our key necessities were provided for. We never had to worry about school fees and food or the rent, right? So I think between the two of them, they made sure that the wheels were always in motion. and the art of prioritizing, the need to save, but at the same time being able to enjoy those little things in life, to be able to celebrate life. With little, we could do so much that as kids growing up, I know now that what we used to make, and it makes me wonder how could we enjoy life so much with so little in those times. And I think that was because of how, more than my dad, I think it was my mom who made it all possible. So
gotta love moms, honestly. I mean, I have a similar story. I have to say my mom is probably the best financier, accountant, and money saver in the entire family on both sides, whether it's my dad's side or my mom's side. What about you, Shaheeda? How was wealth and money introduced to you?
So actually, I can relate to both you ladies and Indians. We are saver. So obviously, it was always there. Dad says if you earn $10, you spend $2.
Yes.
That's it, and you save the rest. So that was always there. But for me, wealth and money is about freedom. I come from a very conservative Muslim family. We are very generous. It's so zakat, it's always there about giving. So wealth is always about sharing, but it was never with women. And what I noticed was men had all the freedom. They had the education. They can go where they want to go. They can do what they want to do. They don't have to take permission. And for my young, 10-year-old, 11-year-old eyes, what I saw is they have money. Women don't. So from a very young age, all I wanted to do is get financial freedom and financial independence, because for me, I equated money with freedom. And it has been how I have run my life up to now. It's always about getting autonomy and freedom.
I love her.
I completely agree.
You have touched upon something that is so powerful.
Yes.
And it's something that I talk about almost every time I'm out. I think in this day and age, women have to earn a living. You have to have,
Yes.
and it's not about money. It's about earning a paycheck is about your dignity, right? Having something that you did yourself, a goal that you've created, whether you make $100 or $100 million, it's like reaching that goal and having money is about your dignity, it's about your self-respect, and it's about your power as a woman.
Yeah.
That's where you get your respect from, is about creating goals and then hitting them. And in this day and age, I'm a little older than all of you guys. So
It's just a number.
So
It's
fast.
just a number, Joy.
I'm a little older than you guys, okay? I'm like 35.
That's still a good age to be in.
35, that's my number.
No, but you're right, Joy. I want to, a key point now, just kind of taking all the points that you all have listed, from necessity to prioritizing to freedom. The level of dependency that is misdirected towards women and girls, that you need somebody to give you something. You need somebody to take you somewhere. So you ladies have actually transformed that thinking process, which leads me to the next question, which is a segue. You came from something that was either a necessity or a priority or the right or the will to get freedom. How do you view yourself right now moving backwards? Because there have been factors of success that have contributed to where you are today. So if we were to look at you today and say, what led you to come to this point? What were those? So we know how you got introduced, but what drove you to be financially independent today?
So I can answer that, right? And I want to answer that. As an Arab woman, I think that I have, and in my age, being older than everybody, all my friends, I would say 95% of my friends are divorced. And I would say that the majority of them are Arab women, and subject to Sharia law. And this is not a religious thing, so don't misunderstand.
No, but it's very good to make it clear as well.
It has nothing to do with religion. They have been left with nothing. they had the document that they signed, and I'm not Muslim, so forgive me. It's called the asmet, or the document that you signed for before you get married, a prenuptial agreement.
Yes. Yeah. You get the mahar, and then you get the muqaddam and the muakhar.
That's it.
Yes. Yeah.
So as a token, they just put a gold coin, just as a token, you know. So what happened is, years later, they're all divorced. That token stood. So they literally were thrown out with no homes, no income. Their children are in college because, like I said, I'm a little older than you guys. They're in college, and they're literally like, the kids are taken care of. I paid for the kids. You're on your own. Go back to your family. So that triggered me. And I saw that at an early age. And I was just like, no. I will never rely on a man to make me happy, number one.
Yeah.
And I will never rely on a man to provide me money. That's freedom. You want freedom? Is self-determination. And this is a big thing for me, right? So I've seen a lot of my friends, literally, ladies, out on the street with nowhere to go except to fall back on their families.
I have a point to add to that.
Yeah.
So, yes, there is the situation where women after divorce, and it's not just about a particular culture around the world, they could be
Yes.
left with nothing, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
But it's not just with divorce. You could have a perfectly happy family life, and then something strikes you.
Yep.
What about the only earning member of the family is in no position to earn anymore or earn enough?
Yeah.
What happens then?
Yeah.
That's right.
Due to medical reasons, due to
Absolutely.
war,
That's
and yeah,
right.
we've seen it.
I've had recent examples within COVID of perfectly happy families being brought down to knees overnight by something they never anticipated.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the women were not prepared, right? They were in no position to support the family.
Yes.
I think that for me was one of the triggers saying, I had to love marriage.
Yes.
I have a very handsome, supportive,
That's
and
amazing.
an amazingly great friend in my my
That's
so
amazing.
You're one of the very rare,
Yes.
rare,
I count my
rare.
blessings.
Notice how I
I
said rare
literally-
5 times?
So Preethi, I have to say, I mean, when we talk about rarity, we're at 50% because my husband is super supportive as well. But equally, I know a lot
the
of
other truth exists.
the other truth exists as well.
Absolutely.
So I'm able to actually do what I do in all of my capacities. But again, I agree with you. The gap in education,
Yes.
the gap in situation,
Yes.
the gaps in, unfortunately, in certain instances, in religion, where you are not made aware of
Yes.
what you can get at the end, you know, of whatever marriage.
Can I add something completely different
Ooh,
from that?
Shaheeda, yes, absolutely.
While these are all absolutely relevant and true, from my perspective, when you say, where did I come? So I've been extremely lucky, very fortunate to have reached where I have. But what is strange is even the most educated women and men, they still do not know how to manage finances, how to do. So I learned once I got my job, you know, MBA, and I went to management consulting. I was making all this money, and I thought, oh yes, I made it. And then in my 20s, late 20s, I realized, wait a minute, if I want to retire, just getting this income is not enough.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
income got me the independence. Then in my 20s, I realized I needed to save and multiply my wealth.
So maintenance.
And that is the investing part, which so many highly educated people do not know.
That's true.
In my 30s, I realized, okay, if I'm doing retirement planning, how much should my money multiply? What is the number that I need? And when do I want to retire? In my 40s, I realized something else.
Ooh.
I realized that it's great. So in my 30s, I said, okay, renting my time is not enough. So I built businesses. In my 40s, I said, it's great to bet on a winning horse rather than build an entire stable.
Yes.
So I started investing in startups,
Yes.
in infrastructure projects,
Nice.
etc. So my
Smart
giveaway to you know what both Preethi and Joy are saying, yes, please, self-determination
Yes.
is important. But once you have that, don't stop learning. Use that to go.
I want you to save those bullet points again because we're going to go into the decade. I want the takeaway, so keep that on. But I want to go back to Preethi because Preethi was talking about having a supportive ecosystem, which is equally important as well, right? And I think sometimes, you know, we're in the rut of it as women, right? We get I guess you could say, associated with so many terminologies, but that ecosystem that you were talking about, having a strong, supportive husband, albeit the fact that he's one of the rare ones as well. What else did you want to mention on that capacity?
What I wanted to also say was, through the last few years, I've had so many important junctions in life where I thought, can I carry on with my career? But I do have other responsibilities. My 2 children had come along. Even if I had doubt, my ecosystem never had doubt. My husband, my mother, my in-laws, and the extended families were like, no way are you going to let your talent go to waste. You've worked so hard for this. We won't let you fail.
Excellent.
And to have that faith in our own personal moment of doubt is what you need the most. And I was fortunate. I do count my blessings every single day.
It takes a village. It takes a village.
It takes a village, absolutely. I don't think I could have come this far. And I can carry on further only because I have these people who believe in me, who trust me as much as I do myself, and who are equally invested in my dreams and ambitions.
Amazing. You're lucky. But, I want to say something, which is really, really important, is that, as women, especially in traditional, right? Because we're Indian, we're Arabic, we're Emirati. The idea of success is when are you going to get married and when are you going to pop out a bunch of kids? I'm not married, I don't have any kids, but I remember my mom from the age of 18, get a college degree so you can get a better husband. Not for education, but because if you have a college degree, then you'll get a better family to marry. And I'm like, what? Anyway, it's amazing to me how, these Arabic traditional or Indian traditional, Emiratis are Arabs, but these traditional roles, which are if you're not married to a rich guy from a good family and you don't pop out a boy, notice how I said boy, then you are a failure. And that mentality has to change. And what I am finding is divorce is more prevalent. And what I'm finding is more and more women who are divorced are waking up because their kids are in college and they're like, what did I do with my life? What is the meaning of my life? What did I accomplish? So it's not the ladies here in this room are pretty well, established and super educated. So I don't want to talk to all those women out there who are like, well, I didn't go to Duke, I didn't go to Harvard, I didn't go to Stanford. It doesn't matter. Do anything that you feel good about.
And just to add on to that, Joy, I think a very important point is that there is no stop time. You do what's good for you at the time that's good for you.
Exactly.
And so you brought up a really good point, which now segues into the next question as well, because we're brought up in these environments. I did the right thing. I went to college. I got the job. I lived the life. I got the good husband. I got the 2 boys. I did it.
Is there anything you're missing?
Apparently, I need a girl. Because girls take care of their parents in their old age. 100%. And so I said, well, why can't my boys? I need to raise my boys so that they know that no matter who they are, at what point of time, right? But it's on, the onus is on me. And I still see parents of girls still giving them that Cinderella wish of, Inshallah nshufik urus, which is, I hope, you got that. Inshallah, I see you a bride. Not inshallah, I see you a CEO or a venture capitalist. Or
the bells.
I am the mother of an 11-year-old ambitious girl.
Yes.
And I'm so proud of how she knows that she is no Cinderella.
Oh, I hate Cinderella. By the way, can we ban Cinderella? Can we ban ladies? Let's do a ban the Cinderella campaign.
Mom works hard. There are days when I feel it's tough. I break down at times. And she stands by. When I feel guilty as a mother, not having enough time for her. And she says, an 11-year-old who understands that it's okay. You are fighting for something much bigger.
Agreed.
You are unlocking possibilities for us. Agreed. What you do means we get to enjoy a lot more. Yes. You are setting the standards for us.
That's because you taught her that.
Yeah. So that
there
level.
There are no Cinderella stories in our house.
That's good.
And you should
keep that.
Finds the right person, not the prince, the right partner in life.
I agree.
I do hope that for her.
Yeah.
But no one is more important than she herself.
That's right.
100%. Confidence is key. And so my next question is probably going to address many elephants in the room, because earlier I mentioned that we're associated with a lot of negative connotations, lack of confidence. She's too aggressive. She's that. Don't go for this. And so that kind of sits in people's minds, right? And a lot of women are scared to work, to open a business. They probably don't know how to save or how to grow that saving into something that's going from having a stable to getting the horse. What is the problem there, and how can we fix it?
It's social media. I mean that. I don't have any daughters. I wish I did.
Yeah.
In my next life, I'm coming back with 25 little girls.
Oh,
In my next
you
life.
can adopt all of us, by the way. We can be your daughter sisters. How about that?
You're really sweet, but I think social media is the worst thing for these young girls, because you have all these apps where you Photoshop your body being thin, you Photoshop your arms, your chest, your legs, your thighs. It's all a not reality, and I think it puts a lot of pressure on young girls. And believe it or not, I blame the Kim Kardashian era, and
I completely agree.
I mean, if there's one person who has single-handedly brought down women and taken them back generations, it's the Kim Kardashian era.
I was hoping we would never use that name on the podcast.
You have no idea. You have no idea.
But we're 21 minutes in, and we happen to use.
No, but it's true, guys. It's true. It's like, why aren't we worshiping women who are finding, cures for cancer, or women who are trying to make a difference with global warming? Like, these are the people that we should be teaching our girls, not like lipstick. I think this makes women be more sexual objects.
Correct.
More of an item, instead of a human being, you're more.
You're like a price. There's a price tag attached to you.
There's a price tag, and it's like, it's all very sexual.
Yes, yeah.
And it's focused on what you look like and your sexuality, rather than focused on on actual substance.
So you wind up. I want to redirect maybe, but just extend on this question as well, because you mentioned a really interesting point. Even in things that we buy, like your items of clothing. So my boys, for National Day, which is probably the only time they wear condoras, or maybe some international day, their condoras cost 150 dirhams, 180 maximum. White condora, looks really flashy, with a little tarbouche and some pockets, and there's a safa. If I were to buy an abaya, this abaya cost me 600. So we're talking about 4 times the price of what I would pay. And that's the same for everything. Go into a toy store. Girls' toys cost double, triple, whatever.
Shaving blades.
Yes, shaving blades. So the concept of looking good means you need to pay more, means you can't save more, means you're unable to manage your wealth because you're trying to emulate this Kardashian syndrome.
Yes.
So where does your confidence sit? Does it sit in, let me hold my money and put it in something that's worth it?
No, but then that goes back to what we're saying.
Prioritization.
Having a goal and reaching it is what gives me my self-esteem. Not my fake eyelashes, which I don't wear, by the way, for the record.
I don't either. I didn't even put mascara today.
What gives me my confidence is the goals that I set, that we all set, and that we reach them. Boy, is there any greater self-worth than that bringing home that $100 paycheck, or that dirhams, that 100 dirham paycheck. I mean, even if you're a maid cleaning the floors, there's dignity in all work.
Yes.
There's dignity in work. There's dignity in bringing home.
True, but
there's also
the dignity.
Sorry.
So sorry. I just wanted to go back to one point you raised. I don't think beauty is bad.
No, it's not.
Whether a woman chooses to make a huge mark or a little difference in the world of beauty, fashion, entertainment, science, STEM, banking, anywhere, why should we be judged? Are men judged for whatever profession they pick and choose?
No.
Is Brad Pitt judged for how good he looks and how many $1 million he could be spending or earning because of that? I don't think there's anything wrong with choosing whatever profession suits you, your goals and ambitions. We should have equal rights and freedom to choose what drives our passion, right? At the end of the day, how we decide to put that to use to generate that wealth is what we're talking about today.
But what do you think? So what about this lack of confidence of women not being able to earn?
That is years, decades of stereotype.
No, but
that
I
has
want
been
to.
created.
Sorry,
Sure.
I really feel strongly
No,
about
sorry.
this.
Okay, so there's two words that are not allowed on this podcast.
Yeah.
Sorry, I refuse to say it because we didn't make a mistake. We're having a conversation. So you're not allowed to say it. You'll get a minute silence if you repeat it, and no, the K word. I'm not gonna.
I just want to bust a myth.
Yes.
So the myth is that women are not confident to talk about finances, and they don't want to build wealth because they're too scared, and everybody thinks they're not good in math or whatever. But let me tell you,
But we are.
No,
Sorry, I want to say that. But we are, because Preethi mentioned her mother. I mentioned my mom. We've all mentioned our mothers. Now, whatever background they've come from and whatever educational background they come from, the people who manage the finances at home, from the groceries to the gardener to the schooling, is the woman. So you're confident in your home, but you're not confident outside the home. I really want to get to that point.
Let me just say this that I really want to say.
Okay.
Because it will really open your eyes.
Okay.
So last year during the pandemic, like everybody else, we were anxious, etc., etc. So I started writing this blog called ShaheedaSays.com, and I started writing about investing for the masses. You don't have to have a degree in math. You don't even if you don't have any degree, you can still read my blogs. It's very simple. I use very simple language. I remove all jargon so you can start your journey. Easiest way to start investing is in the stock market. So I started writing about it, and I had so many men ask me, DM me on Twitter. I did a lot of webinars also, free webinars on intro to investing. And it was the men just as much as women who said, I don't know where to start. I'm scared. I don't know if I lose all my money. I am 35 years old. I have 2 kids, and my money is sitting in my savings account. So I think women, ladies, please know that men are equally scared. So if you are worried, don't worry. Just ask for help.
Well, I think that's what we're here to talk about today, right?
Yeah.
I think, look, I don't think many women save. I think they're too busy buying the latest handbag. If you look in most of the women in the Middle East, if you look into their closets, we're talking about each handbag.
Hundreds of thousands.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars of handbags. I mean, if you put $100,000 in Amazon or Uber stock, you'd be really, really, really rich right now, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's just the first step. And I think if somebody could come up with an actual banking system for women, where it's like a bank just for women, right? Just for women to come in, and to help them invest their money. And, investing your money is really interesting. Like, I invest my money. I exited 2 companies. But what I do is, and this is what we're here to talk about. I have very safe bets. I have bets that are kind of in between. And then I have high-risk bets, right? So you have to diversify your money. You have to have, for the high-risk ones, you have to say, listen, I'm willing to lose this.
Yeah.
Right? For the high-end money, this is not going anywhere. And then for the middle, okay, it's kind of, so that's the way you have to look at it.
Yeah.
Like, you take $10 and you have, this amount for this amount, but it's a first step. Even if you buy one share of a stock.
The first step, even before women get into investing, is to have that sense of financial independence and confidence with money. Just handling money, not in cash, not as just the household grocery, but the number of women who are still working out on the supplementary cards from their spouses. Why?
Or not even owning any assets. Joy mentioned something that was super interesting, because I have a lot of friends, including a couple of family members, who, after having been married for over a decade or beyond, have now had to move back to their mother and father's house. I love my mother. I mean, she lives down the street from my house,
But
because
you
you know
don't-
us, I'm
you
like,
don't want to live with it.
we will. No, I love you, but you know, my house, my
Distance
rules.
makes the heart grow fonder.
It grows, and the further it is, it becomes much more fonder. And I looked at most of my friends who are either working, or entrepreneurs, or not working, and it's so difficult for me to list out 5 people who own any assets of their own. If it hasn't come from inheritance,
That's
or if
right.
it hasn't come from my dad, it doesn't come from them. And
right.
so I started investing in assets because I was like, well, I don't know, I might want to
And it
be on the
starts
safe
with
side.
with the very simple
Yeah,
thing
you
of
never
wealth
know.
creation.
Never know.
You know, even before we think about investing and growing that wealth,
Yeah.
are we ready to create that wealth?
Yes.
Let's take that
That's a
first
very
step.
good
But
question.
creating
Create
that wealth is as simple as putting 10 dirhams aside every week.
Absolutely.
And you know, it's like when we talk about savings, everyone's like, I can't afford to save. Everyone can afford to save something.
little.
If this cup of coffee is 10 dirhams, then forego the cup of coffee and put the 10 dirhams away.
Absolutely.
You know, and you'd be really shocked of how that 10 dirhams just, you know, so that's so what you're saying is correct. Like, don't get overwhelmed with, I don't have the money to save, because everybody has 10
Something.
dirhams.
10
to
dirhams,
save.
yeah. All right, so you know, because I want to end on a high, and I've written down some notes. I'm going to remind you ladies, you know, because I want to get more from you. Are there any facilities that are available right now? I know Shaheeda talked about, you know, her free webinars, which I need to, you know, maybe watch some of those if you have them online. But are there any facilities, any programs that women or
Joey
not women-
talked about,
Yeah.
you know, a bank for women.
Yes.
Well, I won't say that what we created is only for women,
Yes.
but it is completely gender agnostic. It's for anyone who wants to find that financial independence, who wants to bring in that little discipline of being able to see, where are you spending? How much are you spending? And how could you save for something more specific? So we've got something called goal accounts, right? So a Liv Bank account, I don't want this to be an advertisement for the bank, but it's an important point to note
Yes.
that you can open your bank account from wherever you are. Right from your home, right from your kitchen, right from your office. In 2 minutes, you can have your independent bank account with a card, with an app that gives you the ability to track your expenses, to budget, and to save for your goals. And save while you're spending. There are rules that allow you to save, even if every time you swipe your debit card, it will park money into your savings goal. There are rules like those, right? What does that do? It takes the hassle out of saving, out of remembering to save. You've set up a goal,
This
you've
is very
visualized
American.
it.
You got this from the US. They have this in the United
Acorn, right?
It's happening around the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't
Yeah.
it happen here?
Yeah, it's
and
great.
we brought it here, and
Well,
it's so
fin-
impressive to
Fintech
see.
as startups is a hot ticket here. However, I'm afraid of fintech in this region. We'll talk offline.
Okay, but I have a couple of other resources
Yes.
that I'd like to plug in, if I may.
Absolutely.
It's a friend of mine, her name is Lydia Andrews. She started 2 years ago a program called Love Yourself Financially, specifically targeted to women. And I've been on her webinars. We've done in person, all free sessions on, again, how to save, how to learn to budget, how to save, and then how to start investing and multiplying your wealth. I will give you some for your show notes if you
Absolutely,
want the
yeah,
links.
absolutely.
The other thing I tell everybody, once they have gone through the sessions with us, what I tell them is, you know, again, watch your expenses, save for 6 months, cash for 6 months, at least 6 months. So if you lose your job, you have something, you know. And after that, once you feel comfortable, again, I'm not getting paid for this, but I usually tell them, if you're starting out here, get a Sarwa account. Sarwa is a robo-advisory here. And it's the easiest way to start if you're a newbie and you're just trying, you're conservative, you're scared of losing money, and it's robo-advisory. They'll usually only put in ETFs. So I tell them to do that for a year. And once you see, hey, I've made 6% or I've made 8%, and you're feeling comfortable, then we can go to the next step, like get a Schwab account or something like that, and then do more investing.
Before we close with, because I'd really want, you know, just to close off with some really strong CTAs, what age should we start? Or do you think we start early and then every age stage, as you mentioned a lot earlier on, Shaheeda, it comes with a different set of learning parameters on saving and investing. Should we start? Do you teach your
Super
daughter?
early, absolutely.
Okay.
Not just my daughter. My son is
And your
7
son.
years old, and I know that when he was 5, he had his pot of dreams. So did my daughter, and they very well know there are ways they can make money off from their parents. They earn that money. They have the right to use it, but then they know mom and dad will be keeping a check on where we spend. To the extent now my daughter knows that if she does 1, 2, 3, she can accelerate. How can she earn more? Not just earn, but
That's
earn
great.
more. And then she has her own plans for how is she going to invest and how is she going to deploy that money. It's a small
great.
amount, it's a token amount, but that thinking process has already started. It doesn't matter how much your parents are going to earn and accumulate in wealth.
Yeah.
You have to fend for yourself.
Yes.
And there is, it's never too early to
Yes.
start with that. A lot of that onus is on us
Yes.
to make sure, especially in this environment, you
Yes.
know, that it's so easy to get spoiled.
Yes.
To forget about how difficult
Yeah.
it was for just one generation back
Yeah.
to afford most of what
Oh,
we
yeah,
have,
yeah, for
to
sure.
take it all for
And
granted.
I think a lot of people from this region, when we talk about region, we talk about the Middle East and Asia, is that we feel that we work so hard so that our kids live a better life, and then our kids live a better life, and so every generation. So you feel that guilt, like, oh, you know, I need to give more, so that. But actually, it's
I've done
detrimental to
something-
them because they feel that they have everything on a
I-
golden
I-
platter.
like to
actually,
own
your
up.
kids are not living a better life.
No, they're not. No.
This is actually the next generation
Yes.
has been documented as being one of the worst generations.
Generations. Yes. Yeah.
Because they have a sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
And this is a big problem.
Yes. Yes.
You know, I can't tell you the number of times I've had to swallow my pride and to tell my daughter, when she was 3 years or 4 years old, she would shout to me from one of the alleys in the supermarket, "Mama, this is just for 3 dirhams. Is it too expensive?" And I'm like, "Yes, darling, it's very expensive." And the number of eyes that would stare back at me, I was like, "It's okay.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to swallow my pride and I'm going to call a 3 dirhams item super expensive because
Good.
it's something she doesn't need."
Yes. I completely agree.
And now she understands.
That's the way
Her
to go.
money sense gives me confidence that I did it right.
There's value in saying no. I have to say that. All right, so we need to kind of close. This is super interesting. I think we're going to have a separate session so we can talk about the stuff that we can't say on the podcast. But let's start with Shaheeda. Shaheeda, you know, you've mentioned some really interesting things. I really want you to give us 3 main takeaways when it comes to wealth, right? And, you know, wealth, how do you start it? How do you maintain it? And then how do you maybe pass on that knowledge as well? Because once you make it, I think a lot of people forget, oh, let me,
Yeah.
you know, the art of
Pay
passing
it
on.
forward.
Pay it
Yeah,
forward.
always pay it forward. For me, what we started out with, have goals. You know, your autonomy is really up to you. I'm not saying it's easy. I lost a lot. Personally, I've sacrificed a lot. I'm still single because your mom said, get a degree so you can get my community. If you study so much, who's going to marry you? So who's going to, because I will be much.
By the way, my mom
if
says
you,
that
if
now.
you do that, your husband will
She
be
says,
making
"You scare
less
them
money
off."
than you.
So-
And who's going to do that? So for me, I have had a lot of sacrifices,
Yes.
but I'm extremely happy to see young women
Yes.
today. They have more autonomy and they have more opportunities.
Yeah.
You know, I will, because women before them laid the path.
Women
so
such as yourself.
thank
Yeah,
you.
Absolutely.
I will take that. So for me, is please, your autonomy is up to you. Set your goals. And start saving at an early age. Learn. Investopedia.com is a very good resource if you're just scared about jargon and you're getting scared, you don't want to ask, go to Investopedia. I'm on Twitter. I'm very approachable. I always reply if you send me messages.
Okay, I'm gonna
what
reach out
else?
to you
And
4 in
then
the morning.
remember, in your 20s, start
Speed
saving
dial.
in your 20s. 30s, really invest. If you want to, you can't multiply wealth by renting your time. Figure out a way to multiply either by investing or starting your own company.
Yep.
It is hard. And then, you know, when you have some discretionary savings, invest in others. So
Love it.
go ahead and do some very risky startup investing.
Love it.
I loved it, so I continue to do it. So this
Fantastic.
is
Thank you, Shaheeda. Joy?
I mean, you said it so eloquently. I mean, there's
thank
nothing to add. Look, I think that there's, people buy a lot of stuff, and we're in a consumer place, right? Dubai is always about the greatest car, the next handbag, the biggest diamond, the next necklace. So I think, what I tell people out there is, every time you buy that item, you get a high for 5 minutes, but then you stick it in your closet, and that's like a, $2,000 handbag that has no value. So, you have to really, and my friends always laugh at me. I drive a Kia, by the way.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I drive a Kia.
I
So
love
they're
that.
like, why are you driving a Kia? And I'm like, because I have enough confidence in myself that stuff doesn't make me happy.
And it takes
So-
you from point A to point B.
Who cares? Who cares? My self-respect and my self-worth. You see, that's when you get to a good place. Is not relying on what car I have, right, or what I drive, or So I tell a lot of women out there, instead of buying that item, think about what you can do with that money that you could have bought that handbag, because stuff doesn't make you happy. And I have this lovely saying.
And it doesn't make you richer.
And it doesn't make you richer, yeah. And I love this saying, and it says, if you don't have enough of what you need, you can't get enough of what you don't need. And so for all you shopaholics out there, I always say, ask yourself, what's that void you're filling? Feel good enough that the handbag or whatever you're buying gives you your self-worth. Think a little deeper than that.
Like that. Preethi?
Me. I truly want to quote something that I believe in. It's from Deepak Chopra. It says, I want to embrace my potential, to be, to do, and to have whatever I can dream. Life is not either or. We have the freedom to make our choices.
Yep.
And we have to push for it collectively, individually. But the battle always starts from within. From that one individual. Once you make that determination, you want to save, you want to grow, you want to be independent, you want to be free to make your choices.
Yep.
Suddenly you start finding those right people, that ecosystem we talked about,
Yes.
who will make it all possible.
You
But
attract
that
what you
spark
believe.
has to come from within.
Yes.
And there's nothing that stops us from making that spark into this beautiful fire that lights us up.
Yep. Agreed.
If only these mics were not stuck to the table, I would have done a mic drop, because that was awesome. So, but I honestly want to say thank you, Preethi, Shaheeda, and a joy to have Joy on this session. It's been such an honor. I mean, this is the first of 4 or 5 series that we're actually going to be doing about wealth and money. So I'm really excited that we've set the precedent and the platform really high, just to have those additional conversations. So I really want to thank you. This is Aida Al Busaidy for KEF Connects, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.